chapter 2, page 36, it states, before even the British came into relations with our people, we were a developed people, having our own institutions, having our own ideas of government. The average African have it in the head that all thanks to Europe and America that came into the country to help the continent survive. We were barbaric people. We were people who were living under trees, on top of the trees. We don't have any idea of civilization until Europe and America came. This is what the average man have in the head. And that is why there is this feeling of happiness, excitement when an African man is leaving the shores of the continent. There is this joy. And that's why you see people go to churches for Thanksgiving when they get visas to travel out of the continent to America or to some parts of Europe. They go for Thanksgiving. Some go to the extent of selling their ancestral inheritance, their lands, so as to even acquire these things. They pay a lot of money just for them to live. Just for them to leave Africa. They'll do everything. But now realizing that before the British came into relations with our people, we were developed people, having our own institution. That means we have our own system of education. Last time when we talked about how Europe underdeveloped Africa in terms of education, you heard it there. They introduced Western education because they want to control us. They want to have people who have their own ideas so that they can use those people as spies, as leaders around this part where they cannot see. No, they use those people as eyes and ears. Okay? So the more you begin to learn their own system of education, you become a puppet to them. Hence, our leaders' behavior today. That is why we have leaders who are perpetual puppets. Because all our leaders studied in the institution, orchestrated, organized by the West. We all studied in an institution organized by the West. So we have the mentality of the West is better. The West is better. Okay? We have our own idea of government. We have kingdoms. And they came to Kemet. Okay? We can't talk about our history and civilization without talking about ancient Kemet, Nubia, and other kingdoms, which I'm going to mention as the video progresses. So, we were people who had a system. Imhotep, the multi-genus, is African. A lot of these so-called scientists came to the motherland to study because already we were established people. Now, when you talk about slavery, it is stated that the ancient African communities had that also going on. But there's a difference between our way of slavery and that of the Europeans. The Europeans' way of slavery is barbaric. So when they tell you the Africans were barbaric, they were talking to themselves, they're talking about themselves. It was when they came to the motherland that they saw the system that we had. They tried to kill our own system and introduce or initiate their own system. And why do you think they succeeded? Because already there were some rivalry inside, underneath. There was some rivalry underneath. So you can't tell me that our ancestors, at least I've gone through some of these slave castles and slave ports and all, points of no returns and everything around the west part of the continent. And I discovered that it is through manipulation that these Europeans got our kings to agree to giving out their people in slavery. It was not just done. Now it is the information that was circulated through history was Africans sold themselves because they were in awe of mirrors. How can people who were already developed, who already have civilization, be in awe of mirrors? Do you think the Africans are not having mirrors? Do you think the Africans are not having gin and other things? You think Africans are not having some of these things, the umbrella and everything that they're saying they gave it because they wanted to get those things, they sold people? No, there were things that followed it. There were ways these Europeans manipulated these leaders and chiefs to agree to selling these people. They told these chiefs that their life out there would be better. When the slavery was going on in the motherland, which is true, slavery existed before Europeans came. It was part of the society. Okay, but it's not the same form of slavery that the Europeans introduced. The slavery of the African people was just like a normal life. When we go to war with other kingdom and we win them, we're going to get some of them as exploiter wars. You come with these people, you allow them to have their family. They are just coming to do some menial jobs, some maybe domestic jobs, who work in the farm and everything. They have their family, they have their home, they are growing their family, they have their children, living and growing. They don't have opportunity to go for the normal schooling system that was existing those times. Okay, the only thing is that they won't be in their homeland, they'll be in another man's place doing some of these jobs for them. But it's not as barbaric as what the Europeans did, to pack our ancestors and pile them in one small rooms. They urinate on themselves, defecate on themselves, died and start decomposing in themselves, pack them across the waters, torture them, go to use them as objects. This was not what was happening in the motherland when it comes to slavery, Your Majesties. Okay, so it went further to say that in large part of Europe, when communalism broke down, it gave way to widespread slavery as a new form in which labor was mobilized. This slavery continued throughout the European Middle Ages, with crusades between Christians and Muslims. I think we'll talk about crusades here, okay? Giving an added excuse for enslaving people. Slavery in turn gave way to serfdom, whereby the laborer was tied to the land and could no longer be sold and transported, because it took many years for the transition from slavery to feudalism to take place in Europe. Okay, in Africa, there were few slaves. Are you hearing me? In Africa, there were few slaves. Prior to Europeans involving in Africa, yes, there was slavery, but there were few slaves. And the manner of which this slavery was carried out, it's even better. Okay? In Africa, there were few slaves. And certainly no epoch of slavery. Most of the slaves were in North Africa. Are you hearing me? Why North Africa? Because of the infiltration of Islam. Okay? You can check it, oh, don't come for me, it's there in history. Okay, most of the slaves were in the North African and other Muslim societies, and in those instances, a man and his family could have the same slave status for generations within the overall feudal structure of the society. Elsewhere in Africa, communal societies were introduced to the concept of owning alien human beings when they made captives in war. At first, those captives were in a very disadvantaged position comparable to that of slaves, but very rapidly captives or their offspring become ordinary members of the society, because there was no scope for the perpetual exploitation of man by man in a context that was neither feudal or capitalist. Are you hearing me? Even those that were taken during a war as exploit of war, when they come in, they start blending with the societies. You see, it wasn't as the Europeans have painted it. So when they came in, they saw that we can still live like this. They decided, no, we have to introduce our own for us to have upper hand. And they deceived our people. Now you feel like, how did they come and deceive? Like I told you, there were internal clash as well, which give opportunity to these people, which is still happening amongst us today, amongst the black community now. Some are saying they are not African again. They want to go and create another team. The Europeans will use that now as advantage. Okay, there were things that happened underground, Your Majesties, which give way to some of these things. When the Europeans came and involved themselves in the motherland, they came, they saw. I think we're going to read one of their testaments, one of their, what am I saying? Their confessions. The Europeans themselves attested to the fact that the African continent was already civilized before they came in. The African continent was already civilized before they came in. They came and led here, took out some things, and they went back and prepared to come and overtake. The African continent was already civilized before they came. So this man said this about the Benin Kingdom. This is a Dutchman. The town seemed to be very great. Benin Kingdom of Nigeria. The sound seemed to be very great. When you enter into it, you go into a great broad street, not paved, which seemed to be 7 or 8 times broader than the Warmo Street in Amsterdam. Are you hearing? Those of you that feel that Africa was a barbaric state. We were just jumping from tree to tree like monkeys. Can you hear? The Dutch themselves said it, that we were civilized people. The King's Palace is a collection of buildings which occupy as much space as the town of Haarlem. Hey. Only a palace in the continent of Africa is a town, is a town in the European continent, and which is enclosed with walls. So we have knowledge of building, architecture, technology. You are hearing that? There are numerous apartments for the prince's ministers and fine galleries, most of which are as big as those on the exchange at Amsterdam. Okay. They are supported by wooden pillars encased with coppers, where their victories are depicted, and which are carefully kept clean. So Africans were not dirty people. We have not been dirty people, and we are not going to be dirty people. There is always a poor settlement in every part around the world. It's not only in Africa. Stop propagating the dirty part of Africa. All you mainstream media that keeps circulating Africa is poor, Africa is dirty. Stop propagating the dirty part of Africa. There is no place in the country, in the world, that does not have that. Okay? This book was written in the 70s. And it stated this about the continent. We are clean people, we are neat people, we are not dirty people. The town is composed of 30 main streets. 30 main streets. Very straight and 120 feet wide. Apart from an infinity of small intersecting streets, the houses are close to one another, arranged in a good order. These people are no way inferior to the Dutch. It was our ancestors that taught the Europeans how to take their baths. It was our ancestors that taught the Europeans how to keep themselves clean. Okay? So enough of all this depicting of Africans as poor, wretched people that don't know anything. We are developed, civilized people. We civilized Europe. I can beat my chest with pride and say our ancestors of ancient times civilized Europe and America. So enough of all this depicting Africa as poor, wretched continents. If Africa is as poor and wretched, why are you always running in Africa? We have never been poor. We will never be poor, no matter what the West do. Okay, the houses are close to one another, arranged in good order. So we know how to arrange to be arranged. Europeans, you really insulted us. And many people who are not opportune to get to some documents like this will believe the lies that have been propagated by mainstream medias. Okay, arranged in good order. These people are in no way inferior to the Dutch as regards cleanliness. This is a Dutchman saying this thing after he has moved around. Okay, we are organized. We have a religious system organized. We have an educational system organized. We have a governing system organized. Everything organized, arranged, clean. We are clean people. We were clean people. I'm emphasizing on this thing because the picture that the mainstream media paint about Africa is not a good one. Enough. We are tired of all this, you taking over our inheritance, trying to pull us down when we are not there. We are not down. Okay? They wash and scrub their houses as well. Okay? That they are polished and shining like a looking glass. So we were people who were civilized before European involvement in our continent. Europeans' involvement is for our downfall, and that is why Europe destroyed us. Europe underdeveloped us. They came and got developed by us. We civilized them, and they came in turn and underdeveloped us. Why do you think that this was successful? Like I said, there were internal clashes that these people took advantage of. They come and then watch you. They are looking at all the, like, that's why I'm talking about this whole, hey, we are only in America, we don't have anything to do with Africa. Let's be careful with what we propagate, though. As black people, let's be careful with what we propagate. These people are there, they are watching. I told you these people are smart. We've discussed it here. What are the traits of the descendants of the Nephilim? They are wise, they are smart. But don't get it twisted, their wisdom and smartness is the wicked one. So they are going to hang there and look at you, look for your weakness. They will not look for your strength to help you build on it. They will look for your weakness to help destroy you. These people came to the continent of Africa. After we welcomed them, gave them everything they needed, they looked for our weakness and went back. We stabilized, developed themselves and returned. When they returned, what did they do? They came and manipulated our chiefs and our leaders. Our leaders started doing what they are not supposed to do. Our chiefs started doing what they are not supposed to do. So most of you Africans, melanated brothers and sisters, I look at Africa like, I hope you see this video. Share this video to your loved ones. Let it go viral. So let this video go viral. People are not always interested in things like this. That's a fact. That is it. People are interested in the ones they're going to see fashion, they're going to see, you know, these are the ones that you people are interested in. The one that will help you to gain knowledge, you are not interested in it. That's why somebody was like, Abigail, why is your channel still standing on this number? I'm like, oh, me, I don't know. For what you are doing to help humanity, your channel is supposed to be viral by now. You're supposed to be having like 1 million followers. I say, this is the reality of life that we are saying. So leave your thoughts and opinion there at the section. Do not forget to share it to your loved ones, friends and families, and I will see you in my next one, your majesties. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive always, majesties. Bye for now.